Okay, so for 2027, RockShox haven't just overhauled forks, they've also done a pretty big overhaul on some of the big popular shocks of their range. Entering in the SuperDeluxe Ultimate. This is a shock that we've known over the last sort of several seasons has had a few reiterations over the years, but this is probably the biggest change we've seen for SuperDeluxe. Now I think pretty much any 120 to 160 mil travel trail bike, this is the shock that you want on that bike. Now, a few reasons for that. One of the big changes in the architecture of this shock is to allow a much bigger range of tuning when it comes to air pressure, especially. So new max 400 PSI pressure range on this shock. If you think of riders that it might be 110 kilos on a 25 kilo e-bike, and that's not uncommon nowadays, these sort of shocks with a high pressure range are highly capable for that application. With the new air can design, you've basically got this outer sleeve that slides off, and you've got a position sensitive O-ring that sits on various different locations to basically mimic what a particular number of volume spaces might do to achieve a certain amount of progression. So it's a really simple thing. Instead of putting in different number of volume spaces to achieve a certain result, you simply just move the O-ring into its allocated slot, and that will adjust the volume within the shock at the same time. So whole new air can design, obviously quite different to the previous ones. We still retain our climb switch functionality over here. Your low speed rebound, removable knob, which acts as an adjuster for your high speed compression adjustment, and that just plonks back in there. You also have your low speed compression adjustment over here. A simpler range, basically a numbered range, but also quite a simple range, and every click makes a true difference with this shock, which is really cool. So a shorter reservoir. Now, RockShox haven't made a lot of noise about this, but the shorter reservoir should be really welcome for a lot of bikes where this guy here can interfere under full compression. Now, we're talking about some bikes like previous models in Trek Rail or Remedy, or there are other cases out there as well. To support the bottom out system inside the air can, the shock still retains your hydraulic bottom out down at the very end. So it's not a tunable function, it's a set function within the shock based on the shock stroke, and it kicks in at 20% from the end of the travel to give you more support. So inside this new reservoir assembly, there's a new base valve system, which basically cuts any IFP forces down by 40%. So what that basically means when you're riding is less force is required to initiate the shock into its travel. So that should result in just a more coil-like feel. When you're in and out of the saddle, the shock's just tracking the ground rather than deflecting off things, not doing its job. So that's a really cool functionality. So overall, we're going to see this shock being really, really popular for e-bike use, trail bike use, and will continue on the SuperDeluxe's popularity over the years. This one's sure to be a winner as well.